big hall we had, full of tables after tables. And on those tables were prototypes, just prototypes for our newest invention, the iPhone. We had been working on it for years, and it was finally going to be released to the public in 6 months. So we really had to buckle down on security. We had 35-foot tall, inch-thick, solid steel doors with 24-hour guards. And I'd walk through those doors almost every day and just browse the designs. But there was always a problem. None of them were perfect. I'd say, Jimmy, can we make this thinner? Pick up another one, say, Bobby, can we get rid of this stupid button? Then I'd pick up another one, say, Brenda, can we make this curvier? But it didn't happen. Well, at least for the first one. So we made another one, and we've come out with 4 so far. And I hope we continue this trend. You know what? I know we'll continue this trend, because I'm Steve Jobs, CEO and co-owner of Apple. It was 1955 and I was just born. My mom was a non-college graduate student who wasn't ready for a child, so she put me up for adoption. It took a while, but after a few months, 2 people came along and adopted me by the names of Paul and Clara Jobs. They treated me like their own child. I'd help my dad work on cars he was working on because he was a mechanic, and he'd buy me DIY kits. And my mom taught me how to read before kindergarten, so I was always ahead of the other kids. And by the time I was in 4th grade, I was so ahead of the other kids, I didn't even need to listen to the lessons. All I wanted to do was go outside, chase butterflies, and I played a few pranks in my day. One day it got to a point where my teacher would have to bribe me $10 to do my work. After that, I did my work so well, she wanted to send me all the way to high school. But my parents declined because they didn't think I was ready. But my teacher had faith in me, so she gave me high school level work until the end of the year. Then, middle school started. Not much happened in middle school, but I did get to see my first ever computer, which changed my life forever. After that, I filled all my time with technology and DIY kits, all the way up until I met my best friend and future companion, Steve Wozniak, in the 11th grade. We liked all the same things. We'd talk about computers and technology. We had a blast together. But that's not all we did. We also got into a little bit of trouble. See, we found this device called the Blue Box, which allowed you to make long-distance phone calls for free. So we immediately started using it. And after about a month of using it and calling people all over the world, I had an idea. I went to Steve and said, we can sell these things. We can make them for 100, we can make them for 80 and sell them for 160. The plan was brilliant. It took some convincing, but eventually he agreed. But there was another problem. The magazines that held the instructions were getting taken off the shelves. But there was one library I knew that would still have it, the university library. We made the plan. We'd go in and we'd sneak in the middle of the night and take it. It worked. And for a while, business was booming. But then one night, it happened. We were walking down the street and some men started approaching us. They demanded we give them the device. We immediately said no, it's for a client. So they took it by force. They grabbed it from us and took all of our money, our wallets, everything. And we were left stranded in the middle of the night with no money. After that, me and Steve lost contact, and I didn't know what to do. So I spent all my time reading books, listening to rock and roll, and doing drugs, and smoking some pot, regrettably. After a while of that, I started to get in with the hippies, if you would call them that. I even got my own Volkswagen van, and we traveled all over the world. We had the most fun with each other, but after about 6 months of that, I decided to call it quits, because technology was was still my passion. So I went back home. My parents accepted me, but when I first came back, they didn't even recognize me, probably because I was bald and barefoot. After about 2 weeks of sitting at home, I decided I wanted to go to college. So I enrolled at Reed University. My first few months there were great, but sadly I had to drop out because it was straining my parents' bank account too much. I spent the rest of my time there just dropping out on classes, like the calligraphy class, which helped me design the interface for our computer in the future. But it wasn't all that good. I had to sleep on friends' floors, and I turned into soda bottle caps for the 7-cent deposits. And I'd make the walk across town each Sunday night for one good meal a week at the church. It was great, but technology was still my passion. So I went back home, and I got a job at an apple orchard just outside of town. I spent my time there picking apples, sitting under the shade of the trees, and eating a few dozen apples. And that was also amazing. But still, I wanted to pursue technology. So I quit that job and got back in contact with Steve Wozniak. I wanted to make a company. So we started talking. We didn't even want to get rich or famous. We just wanted to make good, quality products for people to use. And then the idea hit me. How about a personal computer? Well, most of you know the rest of the story. I created Apple, what I believe is the most successful technology producer in the world. But I bet some of you are still itching to ask some questions, so fire away.